Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. It's a great day. It's Tuesday night. There's 5 days, 21 hours and 52 minutes to go. Not that I'm counting or anything. I've got Mark, who's one of my channel members, always comes on my member-only show, loves a bit of Spurs chat. How are you, Mark? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Cheers for the promotion. Hi to everyone in the chat, and lovely to meet you, Sean, as well. Always in your streams as well.
Nice to meet you too, Mark. So I didn't get a chance to meet you guys backstage. I was just popped on, showed my face just at the right time. But good to meet you, Mark. Sada, how are you, mate? You good?
I'm all good. Yeah, I mean, Mark says it's nice to meet you, but he hasn't had a debate with you yet about anything to do with Levy and Spurs. So we'll see how all that pans out in the next few hours. Listen, before we get going, no, you know what I mean. Just it won't go that long. For just quickly, everybody, as said over the last few days, we have got a brand new sponsor, okjersey.com. If you would like some quality replica shirts for Spurs or Real Madrid, Barcelona, there's national shirts, whatever you want, please go on to okjersey.com or scan the QR code. And if you type in the word Sava in the coupon, that's 2 V's, SAVVA, you will get 8% off the shirts as well. So they're about £15 and you get 8% off that. So guys, you can't, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Mark, Sean, where to start? I guess tonight, listen, there's a lot that's happened today. We've got the Paratici news, which is great for some. Other people question it. Some people are like, oh, well, that's convenient, considering the window's nearly shut now. Bissouma is leaving for pastures new. We're led to believe he's going to Turkey. He's going to Galatasaray. And also lots of reports saying that Spurs have now moved on from the likes of Savio, and we're now looking at the likes of Paqueta, and we're looking at the likes of Lookman. So we'll talk about that as well. Mark, let me start with you. What's your overall feelings on the window? As I said, there's 5 days and 20 odd hours left. I don't know. For me personally, I feel like my kind of the anger of the window has kind of now subsided into a bit of, okay, whateverness, which is really a bad place to be. How are you feeling about it, though? Are you more upbeat than I am?
Yeah, I might come across as a little bit fence sitting here, but we were sort of chatting in the back. And so at the start of the window, I was very much like, let's get them in early, bed them in before the tour, etc., etc. Still my preference 100%. And, we could have done better in that respect. But I'm okay with it. I'm not someone who overreacts anyway. But because of how we started and the 2 league wins and the fact that we've got 6 points on the board, I'm okay if those signings come in. I mean, if we end the window as it is now, then that's unacceptable. But I'm sort of more calm about the situation because of Frank and because of the players. But yeah, we need more bodies in, basically. We're obviously, if Bissouma goes as well, that's another body out the door. We just need a bit more talent in the squad and depth. But under normal, I think you've said it in the chat before that had this been, for example, and I don't want to play a game against 2 managers. It's not about that today. But had it been Ange in this situation, I would have been more worried than I am with Frank and also Cochrane, because I don't think he's getting the credit he deserves at the moment. He's exceptional as well. So, yeah, fairly calm, but we do need to do business before next Monday.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sean, let me ask you. I mean, you've always been one who's like, come on, the window's not shut yet, and drama. You don't need to be all dramatic, Sava. How are you feeling now with such little time to go, Sean? Are you still in that calm place, or are you starting to panic a little bit, even if it's internally and you don't want to show that emotion on screen? How are you feeling?
Mate, I learned a long time ago something called the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah.
Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the strength to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Like, you can't change this. You can't change anything. So what's the point of getting upset about it?
True.
There's no point.
But we're football fans. We do.
Yeah, no,
right?
I know. Yeah, and I know football. Listen, I'm not telling anyone else to not go into meltdown mode. I find it hilarious. Like, it's great. It's fun to see the emotion of other people, explode at certain times, good and bad, both sides. But like me personally, I just, every day is a new day, and just go with it. But like I say, everyone is more than entitled to feel like this window has been, or at least the last 6 weeks has been, a shocker. And sorry, Mark. Someone in the comment section.
No, you crack on. I'm not easily offended.
Someone in the chat. Come on, Butler. Your Welsh accent's almost as good as Mark's. It's a term of endearment, mate. I adore the Welsh. The reality is, mate, yeah, you can't change it, man. So look, on the 2nd of September, if it finishes the way it does now, obviously, then these things need to be addressed, right? Things like obviously the owner. I mean, I've always been. By the way, I know that people park me in this camp of always defending Levy, but if you go and check the tape, all the way back 3 years ago, I said I'm more than happy for Levy to move on. And over the last sort of 18 months, I've always been saying I would encourage someone else to come in who can take over the footballing side and/or a new owner. I'm fine with it as long as I know who it is. But for what it's worth, I mentioned this earlier. Right? And I just want to quickly sort of get the thoughts of the guys in the audience who don't watch my channel, and also yours as well. Like, I think you have, like, in everything in life, every opinion you have has to be based on some sort of relativity. Like, expectation against what? Like, is our squad good enough? No. Well, based on what expectation? Is our window good enough? No. Based on what expectation or compared to whom? Right. And so, if we're looking at other owners, if you could pick a particular country that has a particular relationship with money, where would everybody love the new owner to come from? I'll save the kind
Wales.
of guess.
Wales.
Wales.
Whoever's Wales' richest man. Get him in. Get him in.
I love you,
Probably
boy.
Gareth Bale at this stage, isn't it? Jesus Christ, or Tom Jones, But no, you'd probably pick Saudi, right? Like, and when the PIF took over Newcastle, everybody's like, oh, Jesus Christ, Newcastle are going to go on and become this next monster. But let's be honest, if you're comparing Tottenham's window to another big 6, big 7, whatever club, and you're saying, well, who else has had a similar-ish window with high expectations, reaching for the stars, landing on the sky, or landing on nothing at all, you say it's Newcastle. So, like, I'm just putting it out there as a devil's advocate. I'm not saying, like, we shouldn't want new owners because, look, it's nothing different. But it's a fair comparison, I think, to sit there and say, if you didn't want Levy, you'd want someone with a disproportionately kind of carefree approach to money. And Newcastle United's owners, at least, are supposed to represent that to some degree. And yet they have reached for the stars and they have landed on nothing as well. And you could make the argument fairly strongly that they're just as big a draw as Tottenham right now. They just won a trophy like we did. They're on the up. They're a bigger. They're probably on a better trajectory. If you ask most Levy out people, they say that Newcastle is a bigger draw than Tottenham. And yet they've gone after all the big fish and they haven't exactly landed any. So I would just make the argument that there's more to the narrative of a different owner changes everything. When it comes to if you're fishing for the whales, if you're going blue marlin fishing, it doesn't matter how expensive your rod is. If there's somebody else out there that's a better fisherman with a stronger rod, a stronger line, and better bait, then they might very well get the fish that you're trying to hook, and that comes in the guise of Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and Chelsea. As much as we hate to say it, there's just that reality. So I'm not saying that don't feel a certain way. I'm not making an argument that Daniel Levy should stay. I'm more than happy for him to go. I've been saying it for years. I'd like to see what the new owner or the new vision looks like. And by the way, even if it's a step aside and let someone else take over the footballing thing, I still want to know what that looks like, because I still think that you need someone in there that is a bean counter, because Paratici is not going to be aware of how much money we owe on previous transfers and how much we owe on future commitments and all that stuff. So you're still going to have some accountant that's being a part of those processes. But you look at Newcastle and you don't see an entirely different story, and yet they've got entirely the other side of the CEO, chairman, like idyllic representation of ownership, and yet not a lot is different in terms of reality when it comes to reaching for the best players. Because every time they've done it and every time we've done it, one of the bigger boys has come in and eaten our lunch.
Well, let me ask. Listen, and by the way, you know, you don't need to explain to me. I understand what you say. I understand the devil's advocate side of it, and it's needed because imagine everyone had my opinion. It would be a very boring YouTube space, wouldn't it? It would be awful. Mark, is Sean right in terms of, you know, what he's saying? He's saying he's happy that if somebody wants to come in and take it over. Do you think it needs new owners, or do you think it needs a new guy that isn't Levy? Because a lot of people today, and emotions run wild. All of our emotions run wild in the last week of the window because it's like, where's my signings? Where's my signings? Right. But there's lots of reports today, like even people that have backed him for a long time saying, look, you know, this guy's he's not in 2025 anymore. You know, he thinks it's 2005, where as a selling club, he could do the deals, but as a buying club, we can't. Does it need a new Levy, if you know what I mean, or does it need new owners?
Yeah, so I've always been in the position of I would rather Levy stays but not touch the football. That's always been my line. However, the more it's going along, I'm thinking if he's still at the club, is he capable of staying out of those matters? That would be my concern. However, I totally get where Sean is coming from. I'm very much the same in terms of if we were to change owners, if we were to change chairman, etc., who is it that's coming in? Because it is a big case of better the devil you know, etc., because of everything else that Levy and Enoch have done for the club. So, yeah, my preference would be that he stays, but just in certain areas of the club. But
so what are we talking like the business side away from football?
Yeah,
so concerts,
exactly.
boxing deals.
Hugo Boss. Can you extend that argument out? Because I struggle to get my head around what that looks like. Who is it that you would like? Who is it, the people that want that? And I'm more than happy to hear a strong argument. I can't see how you can get just a football guy who's a master of football being in charge and not having to deal to some level with some accountants.
No, and that ties in with what I was just saying in terms of if we were going to change that role, then I would need to know who's coming in, their background, etc., etc. Part of it, I think, to a degree, with the being Welsh, is that I'm a big Spurs fan, but I'm sort of disconnected in the sense of I'm not in the local area. You know, I'm not close to London, etc. So I think there's more emotion, you know, when you're so close to the club, etc. So for me, I'm sort of in the same boat as you, Sean. I'm happy to. I'm very much a better the devil you know. If someone brought it to me and said, "This person is coming in, this is how it looks, this is the business plan, etc.," then I'd be comfortable looking at that. But equally, I'm not. Again, it's probably my personality as well. I'm not someone who gets angry and vents, etc. I'm comfortable with all of the aspects except the transfer window. So
same. Yeah. I echo your sentiment entirely.
Yeah. Let's have a look at something that happened today then. And I think this does keep it on the same lines. One of the things that is aimed at Tottenham, especially since we moved into the new stadium, is that we're not very good at selling players. So listen, it doesn't matter how rich you are as a club. It doesn't matter if you're Man City, if you're Chelsea, if you're Liverpool. You've got to be selling footballers, right? That's the way of life. If you are a club, you need to sell to buy in one way, shape, or form. Bissouma's the latest example of another player that we didn't want, but can't actually sell. It's always a kind of kicking Dan. Kicking Dan? Who's Dan? I'm not kicking Dan, whoever he is. Sean, it's always a kind of kicking a can down the road exercise. We saw this last year with Højbjerg, right, where it was we knew wanting to go, but it was only on a loan. Looks like the same is happening with Bissouma. How much of an issue is this, Sean? The fact that this year we've made 20, if I'm not wrong, somebody can tell me, if you don't count the Højbjerg money that we'd already budgeted for, we've made £21 million, I think, if you take Son and Josh Keeley. How much of an issue is that, Sean, that we're not making money? Just to put it in terms, Chelsea have made like over £260 million in sales. and counting. How much of an issue is it?
Yeah, I think someone was making an argument on Twitter earlier that Daniel Levy is and I think it's a fairly strong argument, actually. I hadn't thought of it this way. He was making the argument that Daniel Levy forged his reputation as being a tough negotiator when Tottenham were a selling club.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when we like Berbatov, you get peak money, even though now it looks chump change for a player of his quality. But at the time, it was decent, right? Bale, Harry Kane. I mean, you have to give him the credit for doing the Harry Kane thing because there's not been a 30-year-old that's moved for anything like that money ever since Harry Kane, and probably won't be again for what it's worth. But I think that Daniel Levy is a guy who does well when he has leverage, and I think he's a better seller than he is a buyer when it comes to being, in terms of getting that money, getting the extra pound. But I think that the pivot towards youth has, in general terms, the way that all of football has gone to overpay for youth players. Well, we don't have players that we're willing to sell and that there's been much activity for. And the likes of the players that you'd have on the cards that we were willing to sell, like the Bissoumas, Sonny, the Brian Hill to a lesser degree, but he's injured anyway. But the Solomon, those sorts of guys are not really, first of all, in the world where you're going to get those sort of 30, 40 million pound purchases. And also we're not working in the same sort of, with the same caliber of money. Like the amount of money that flows through Chelsea is just insane. Like they might end up with a net spend of 100 million or something, but they're spending 300 and recouping 200. Whereas Tottenham just don't do that. So, I don't know if I'm making any sense for that one, but like in a nutshell, I think when Daniel Levy had forged that reputation, it was a long time ago, and I think he's still using the same old tricks. I think he's still using that sort of, I'm going to come in and nickel and dime. I don't think he's used to looking at numbers. To him, 500 grand is a lot of money and it's worth haggling over. Whereas some of the other clubs that are just willing to kind of trade players, they have owners and operators that come from private equity, come from a financial background where 100 million isn't a lot of money. So like to them, like 2 million here, 2 million there, it's all it's irrelevant. Whereas to Daniel Levy and maybe the Parishes, these sorts of people, they built themselves up from the ground with their own money, and they kind of got there. And so to them, it's still worth nickeling and diming over, and it's not how the game operates at that top level. So again, another example as to why it's probably right to land on the argument that he's taken the club as far as he can, and that the way that the world is now, the way that football now operates, is probably not conducive if you want to be a top 5 team with an owner that still has that mindset that 100 grand here and there is still important.
Yeah, I mean, Mark, what do you think?
That answered the question at all, to be honest, mate. I think I just went off on a rant.
No, it did indeed. And listen, if we're talking about mindset and we're talking about not moving on, guys, there's nearly 1,100 of you in here and only 190 likes. Come on, can we? We've got to get better than that over here. We've got to be doing better than that. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And please, I'm sure you have, but if not, subscribe to Sean at the Spurs Talk Show. Mark, how big an issue is how big an issue is this? In 6 years, we've sold 296 million, I believe, worth of players.
So halfway through what Sean was saying, I was going to say, but he sort of curved it off with the end of what he was saying, was that it goes to that question, and we've seen it in the chat, etc. Is, how much of that is showing that Daniel Levy is not evolving with the times, with football in general, and that is the issue, because you can't operate the way that we were before. You can't bully other clubs, etc. So yes, it is a big issue, and it also ties, I think, to our overall. You look at the recruitment, even with the youngsters now. We pay big money for youngsters who, whatever you think of them, whether they're average or not, are really hard to sell on. Look at, for example, Reguilon. How many times did we loan him out?
Yeah.
Never shifted him off. He left on a free. So, it is a massive problem, because, there's wider issues then, isn't it, in terms of the money you're generating to what you're spending, etc. But as Sean was just saying, I think it ties back to that whole thing of, you have to move with the times, and I don't feel like Levy is doing that. I think we're seeing that a lot. If you look at it, we're having a chat, and to a lesser extent is the tactics on the pitch are moving now, and we're having an interesting conversation, a few friends and I, is how much are people catching on to, the way Pep plays football, and he's not actually evolving with what is happening on the pitch now, and he's actually being caught up as well. So, I think it's a massive issue. And do I see it improving? No, unless either Levy evolves or, as we said, he moves aside and someone, whoever that is, comes in and deals with the football side.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, let's talk about Bissouma then. It looks like he's going to Turkey, guys. It looks like it is going to be a loan with an obligation, which for me, they might have to give him a year extension for that to be the case, right? Because his contract runs out next summer. I don't know how that will work, but that's what we're hearing.
I think it's basically just a delayed payment. So it's just
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to get the money after the contract ends, basically.
My question is simple. We all knew that Bissouma might be going. Do we have to get another player in? Have we got enough in midfield? Have we got numbers? I'm really concerned. Sean, obviously, we streamed last night together. I'm really concerned about just how few footballers we've got at this football club right now.
Yeah. But again, I'm concerned about it. And again, it goes to planning. I mean, other teams, you look at the likes of Brighton. Look at Palace today. Eze's gone out. Within a couple of days, they got Yeremy Pino in. They're linked with Harvey Elliott as well now tonight.
Yeah, I've seen that tonight. They're going to try and hijack the Harvey Elliott. That would be a brilliant signing for them, by the way. And Pino.
Yeremy Pino, by the way, is a baller.
Yeah. And 30 million euros they got Pino for.
He's very, very good. He's a hard-working right winger that can play in the 10. I did a Y-Scout report on him. Well, I did one like 6 months ago, but then I refreshed my mind about it about 4 or 5 days ago and spoke about it on the channel. He's a very. I didn't want him at Tottenham because I don't think he's like going to suit Thomas Frank's style, but I think he'd be perfect for Crystal Palace. I think it's a really, really clever signing.
Well, because they tend to play. They have Mateta as the focal point, don't they? And the two off of Mateta, which has been Sarr and Eze, they're not wingers, are they? They kind of drift out, but spend a lot of time floating in and linking up. And I think that's perfect for what I've seen.
Or if they adapt him into a 10, he's very tricky. He's got a low centre of gravity, lovely little pass on him, and he's a hard-working player as well. Like I worry a little bit about his physicality in the Premier League because it's just a tougher game than the La Liga. But Oliver, if anyone's going to get the best out of him, it's Glasner, right? And Glasner must be happy that he's lost Eze, but if they're going to get Harvey Elliott or Conor Gallagher and Yeremy Pino, and they've still got a bit of time left on the window to do a bit more, they were very good even without Eze. They were very, very good against Forest the other day, weren't they? So, it's a tough league. It's going to be interesting. Nottingham Forest are improving. Palace might end up being stronger without their best player, believe it or not, if they go,
By the way, I'm just looking at the West Ham fans.
So
have you seen it? The West Ham fans are furious, and Jared Bowen's tried to jump over the advertising hoarding to have a word with them.
He's had an Eric Dyer, isn't he, there?
Now's the time to strike for Paqueta, right? But we'll talk about that a bit later. He scored another good goal today. But yeah, I mean, Mark, look, if they, Bissouma going on loan, look, for me, I've said I'd move heaven and earth to try and get Conor Gallagher on a loan. I think he solves a lot of problems, including homegrown, can play multiple positions in midfield, never, ever, ever injured. He's a captain, ex-Premier League captain, leader. I'd go and get him on loan. What do you think of my suggestion of Conor Gallagher for a cheeky year loan from Atletico?
Well, we were chatting in the back, weren't we? And I said, at this point, I would be focusing on getting the homegrowns in. So Gallagher, Harvey Elliott, your Lookmans, I just think they all make the most sense and they're realistic. So yeah, I wouldn't be against it. The thing with Conor Gallagher would be, we heard before he went to Atletico that he wouldn't go to Spurs because of his Chelsea links. Whether that's changed because now he's over in Spain, whether that was rubbish, we don't know. But as a player, I think, for the system Frank plays, I think he'd be perfect for it.
Yeah, he's an all-action midfielder as well, and I just think, Sean, I think one of the key things that we don't do is we really don't. I know we've done it with Paulinho, so before everyone in the chat just says Paulinho, I feel it's something we don't do well enough down the years is really utilize this loan market. It seems to me there's a lot more loans as players are getting more expensive. And I've heard you say this. I think I've heard you say it, that you think all deals should be a kind of...
In an ideal world, I think every deal should be a loan, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, Conor Gallagher, I mean, in terms of, for me, that hard-working Thomas Frank pressing system just feels like it would be ideal because Bentancur, we know, gets injuries, Sean. He does, whatever we want to say. And Paulinho, we know, gets injuries and is 29, 30 years of age. So, for me, I think I don't want to rely on Bergvall and Gray when those two get injured. I'll be completely honest. That's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, look, as much as he doesn't like Tottenham, he doesn't want to be a Tottenham player, does he? He had the chance, or we were led to believe we had the chance. He had the chance when he was at Chelsea, and he's like, no, I bleed blue, right? And his family wouldn't forgive him. Well, that was the narrative anyway on the Athletic and all that stuff. So we kind of wasted a bit of time last summer as well trying to get him. Huh?
You mean Lubo?
That
was the narrative from Lubo.
Yeah, he bleeds Lubo.
Lubo was one telling me he wanted Gallagher. He only wanted Gallagher. But Mark might be right that in terms of the optics of going from Atletico to Spurs instead of Chelsea captain to Spurs could work, right?
Yeah. Look, he's a very, very talented player. He works hard. Thomas Frank likes hard-working guys that are efficient, that can press, and he's versatile as hell, right? He's versatile as hell. The reality of it, the thing is, right, when you talk about just do a loan deal, it's easier. Whilst I think every deal in an ideal world would be a loan before you buy it, as long as you get the option to make the deal permanent before someone else can step in. But that would be in an ideal world. But unfortunately, Atletico Madrid are probably not going to be in the it's not. Is it ideal for them to to lose a player? I don't think that they've done many loans on the way in this year, so they're not kicking the can down the road for their own purchases. And basically, what you're asking for with a loan is a favour. Can I borrow your player for a year? I'll probably pay you for him next year. I'll give you a couple of million now to smooth it over. But ultimately, if they've got commitments, if they've got financial commitments for their players, like they bought Thiago Almada, who's an absolute, he's a wonderful player. They got out of Lyon, out of Botafogo.
Yeah,
I wanted him, but he went to and Atletico Madrid have spent a lot of money this summer. But so consequently, you could think that there would be difficulties in Conor Gallagher getting into the team, and obviously it's a World Cup year, so he might want to come back to the Premier League, where there'll be more attention on him. There's a lot of reasons I think it might work, but it's just, are Atletico Madrid going to want to do a loan deal where they're only getting a couple of million for a fee and maybe a payoff next summer? I don't know. Be interesting, but I think it's a difficult one, to be honest. I'm not going to hang my hat on it. But it'd be cool if we could get it done.
I'm just going to put it out there right now because I'm looking at their transfers. Atletico, they signed a lot of players this window. They've signed Buena, who's class, Hanko, Cardo. So don't forget in that midfield area, Sean and Mark, they've signed Buena, Cardoso, Almada. They've signed 8 or 9 players this window, and. Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's Conor Gallagher or anything. I'm just looking at it, Mark, and I'll get your take on this. 4 competitions. We know Bentancur and Paulinho have suffered injuries. I'm just not sure if those two went down, how comfortable I'd be with Sarr, Gray and Bergvall across 4 competitions. I just feel like you'd need another grown man in there, a leader, and I think someone like a Gallagher fits that bill for me.
100%. We don't have enough depth. The only way we're going to survive this year is if we say, right, forget the Carabao Cup or whatever, and we do what Arsenal did for a number of years, and they play their 16, 17-year-olds. Otherwise, no, we've got nowhere near the right depth. We saw what happened, and I know it was a small snippet. We saw the drop-off against PSG.
Yeah.
For me, the first half against, I went to the Burnley game. The first half, the midfield was horrific against Burnley, just exposed. But much better in the second half after Frank and Cochrane had a chat to them. But yeah, the drop-off is way too big at the moment. And I actually think it's unfair to put that kind of pressure, to a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds in the Champions League and expect them to go out and perform.
Mm. Yeah, it's. By the way, I'm not just purely looking at the centre mid area and thinking there needs depth, but this is the problem, right? If you just buy a lot of young players, you are going to come up against this at some point. And listen, touch wood, Paulinho and Bentancur don't get injured, but I look at their records, I look at their ages, and I think 2 games a week. I'm just not sure it's there. But Sean, Bissouma, was it the right time for him to go? I know he's been very hit and miss for a lot of fans who would say for 4 years, 4 seasons, maybe.
Yeah, 4 seasons. 4 seasons.
4 seasons. Such a shame. I for one, I can't sit and pretend I wasn't. When we signed him, I went, that's a bargain.
Everyone was. There's not a single person. Anyone that pretends like they said no, don't want him.
Yeah.
Back in 2021 is lying. Yeah. They're lying. Come on. It was actually like universally. It was almost like a universal. Like everyone was, that's a good bit of business.
Yeah.
Really, he's going to be a baller.
He's done it again. 25 million.
Typical Levy transfer. 1 year on his, but leverage and all that's fair and reasonable. But everyone was behind it. He just ended up not being the player because he's obviously got attention problems on the pitch at times. I think he can be a little bit bozo-esque. And he also has obviously not behavioural issues. That sounds horrible, but just like professionalism, conduct kind of issues. Tell you what though, mate, if we're selling or loaning him with an obligation, that's punchy. It's a punchy decision to make, given that there's 4 days left and we're looking for an attacking midfielder and a left winger. Because I think I said this yesterday on Spurs 5. At this moment, I don't think we should be letting him go, because if Paulinho does get injured, where do we go to? If we on Thursday night, we might draw Real Madrid away. We might draw Bayern Munich away. We might draw Barcelona or I don't know, Juventus or whatever. And then you've got to go away in Europe and potentially have Archie Gray at the base of a 6. Like what I mean, in a 6 role, it's they better have some players coming in.
I was about to say
they are rolling the dice and dicing with death with some of these decisions. Right.
I was about to say, is this just an awful decision, or do you think they've actually got someone lined up now?
I don't know, mate.
Because it wouldn't be very Spursy to have someone lined up.
Hang on, Mark. So, if you remember, do you remember about a week before we got Paulinho, right? Paulinho. I get told off for saying Paulinho. Do you remember a week before we got him, that all of the articles from like the O'Keeffes and the Ali Golds were Spurs need Bissouma to go in order to facilitate a deal for Bissouma for Paulinho. Now, could this be that this is just that's what's happened, but it's just taken bloody ages since getting Paulinho to get Bissouma out? Or are we looking to strengthen in that area? Because even if not, all the young centre mids have gone out as well. So if you get injuries to that central midfield area, if the 5 midfielders are Paulinho, Bentancur, Sarr, Gray, Bergvall, if you get 2 injuries to any of those at any time, Tottenham are left with, if you want to play that 5-3-2 kind of formation where you go tight in midfield, you're left with no centre mid on the bench other than somebody like, who's the really good youngster? Williams Barnett, right? Because Hall's gone, and
he's not ready though, is he? He's 16.
No, but Sean, that is my point.
Imagine him up against like trying to battle Jude Bellingham away at the Bernabeu.
Right.
What are we doing here?
This is going to be one of those moments where every single time one of our midfielders goes down injured, we're all going to go, oh no, what's happened? And that's my point, is you're going to have, like, there's kids and there's kids. Yeah. Like, if you look at Arsenal, Dowman, who is very good, I think it's okay when you've got a kid who's playing on the right wing at that age, because not too much bad can happen from the right wing, if that makes sense. There's nothing, realistically, I was always taught coaching. Realistically, if you're going to lose the ball, it's going to be up there. You're okay. You've got time. If you've got a young 16-year-old centre half player, you've got nowhere to hide, right? You are last line of defence. So, Mark, this is massively risky if they're not bringing anyone else in. And that's not saying I want Bissouma. It's just mad. This club is moving mad.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question, is this stupidity or have they got something lined up? Because if they don't have something lined up and we don't do any business in that area, we're in big trouble. Because I don't think you can... we'd have to have such a lucky season to avoid any injuries in that area. You know, in a central midfield, you don't go a whole season without injuries. So, yeah, it's a massive gamble. And, you know, in a window where a lot of the fans are already really, really negative and angry about it, it's just going to be another stab.
You know what? This is going to be interesting. Sorry, Sean.
You have to. Like, I mean, you know, Luke Bell was always like, he's too risk averse, right? And I agree, by the way, he's too risk averse. And then in the debates that I have with Luke Bell, I'm like, well, listen, he took the risk to back Ange when everyone was calling for him to be sacked, and it paid off. And then he took the risk of sacking Ange in the face of all of that outrage, and it looks like it's paid off with Thomas Frank so far. You know, whatever. So I feel like Daniel Levy's sort of gone from out of the frying pan into the fire. Now he's got a taste of risk, not like financial risk. He's not going to do that. In terms of like, you know, he's like playing craps at the casino. Because what happens? And the problem is, right, is that even if you go and get a versatile player, and you know what? I actually Lee Gunner said this on an Arsenal stream, and I think is a really interesting point. I hadn't thought of it that way. He was letting somebody else talk about the depth of Arsenal, and they were going through the various like the A team, B team, or whatever you want. And this guy, whoever it was saying, "Look, you've got this player here as an option on the right back, and he can also play right winger. And this guy's a centre back that can also play left winger, and this guy's a 6 that can also play 8 and can also play whatever, right?" And he was basically shoehorning the same player into like second or third choice as a versatile player. And we can make the same argument with like a Jed Spence, right? Like Jed Spence is versatile. He can play left back. He can play right back. Lookman can play left winger, right winger, or in the 10. Kudus can play right winger, left winger, or in the 10. All that stuff. And Lee Gunner was like, yeah, that's all very good. That's all well and good saying that. But what happens if that versatile player goes down injured? Then you no longer have that backup in the right, the left, and the centre. You no longer have the midfielder that could. So, like, versatile players are all great in that they can fill in where necessary. But if they go down injured, you're screwed because you lose that option in all of those positions. And I'd never even thought of it like from that angle before. And so, like, Jed Spence is probably an injury that you don't want to happen, not just because he's a great player, but if he goes down, then if either Udogie or Porro go down on top of that, then you're screwed. Then you're shoehorning someone else that can't play in that position. You know, if you do go and get a Lookman because you need cover in the 10 and the left wing, and you can always find the space for him. Well, what happens if he gets injured? Then you don't have any cover in any of the positions. So, like, versatility is almost like a gift and a curse at the same time, depending on how you think of it.
Yeah, there's people putting in Mainu as an answer. We'll talk about Mainu in a little bit. By the way, somebody in the chat who said Conor Gallagher's all half and puff and no end product. First of all, I think you've got to know the player you're talking about. I mean, Conor Gallagher is not your playmaker. Conor Gallagher is not your advanced 10 who... But in the last 2 seasons of him being in the Premier League, and I've brought this up a few times before, in every single metric for midfielders in the Premier League, he was in the top 5. I don't know if anyone knows this. He was in the top 5 for goals, top 5 for assists, top 5 for tackles, ground covered, duels won, headers won, distance covered. He was top 5 for everything. And these are players I think that sometimes fans don't rate, but I think managers love. Like, I think any manager loves a Conor Gallagher, right? Because you know exactly what you're getting out of him. But really good point you made there, Sean, or stealing Lee Gunner's point. It's a really, really good point. If you are going to bring in the utility guy, That's brilliant. And if the utility guy gets injured, you've now buggered yourself in 3 or 4 different positions.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, Bissouma going out to Turkey. I mean, we heard these rumors 2 months ago, didn't we? That it was going to be Turkey. Just frustrating that it's happened now. But the squad is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And at the moment, as I've said to you, I said yesterday, Mark, on the show, as I said this morning as well, if we're going to assume that Solomon and Brian Hill leave the club as well, that's a squad of 22. And of that 22, one is Takai, right? One is Brandon Austin, who, let's be brutally honest, without injuries, isn't going to see a minute of football, right? So
do you have an up-to-date list of the current squad?
Yep.
Can we have a look at it on the screen?
Oh, you want me to bring it up? Oh, I've got it on a sticky note.
If you haven't got one, we can just talk about it. But
okay. So goalkeepers. I can't actually bring up the sticky note. I don't think. Sorry, I've just got it on my notes in the background. Right. The goalkeepers are Vicario, Kinski, and Austin. Right. So that's 3. The defenders at the club are, and this is assuming Vuskovic goes, is Porro, Spence, Romero, Van der Ven, Danso, Davis, Takai, and Adogi. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now that I haven't added Dragoshin because he's not available this side of 2026. Okay, so I've not added him. So you've got 8 plus the 3, you've got 11 so far. If Bissouma goes, you have got Paulinho, Gray, Bergval, Bentoncourt, and Sarr. Because again, I'm not counting Maddison and Kulu because they're not available this side of the year. So that's 5. So you add the 5 to the 11. I'm not a mathematician. I believe that's 16. And then you've got Tell, Odeber, Johnson, Kudus, Solanke, and Ritchie, right? That's assuming that Solomon and Brian Hill go. That means that Tottenham have got those 6 to add to the 16. That's 22 players. 22.
Yeah.
That is absolutely that's batshit crazy.
Well, what's the max you could have? 25, yeah?
Well, you can have a squad of 25, but you can have youngsters in behind, right? But
actually, so a lot of those people like Bergval wouldn't even count, would he? Because he's still in the under 21s. Am I right about that, or am I wrong? I don't know how that works.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All those rules have changed.
Am I right? That's certainly the case in Europe, isn't it? People like Bergval can go on the B list. They're not 21.
Yeah.
So, but is that the same in the Premier League? I never know, to be honest. I'm not that educated on that stuff.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest with that, but essentially,
Connor's saying Bergval doesn't count.
No.
Essentially, Spurs at the moment, unless you want to keep Hill and Solomon, right, who wouldn't be in the squad anyway, because let's be fair, they're not going to get on the bench above Solanke, Tell, and Odeber, right? Spurs have a squad of 22 players. We don't even have a full quota of 25. That is madness going into not just a Premier League season, but a season where we're going to be in 4 competitions. That is madness, chaps.
And is Solomon and Hill injured at the moment, or have they just been isolated, or we just literally don't know? Because you can't, I mean, they're not good enough anyway, but you can't bring people in who've had no part of pre-season if they've been isolated, I mean.
I think there's
absolutely no point in selling or loaning out Vuskovic. That, like, if we lose Vuskovic now, that to me is just like, what the fuck are we doing? Excuse my French, sorry. What are we doing if we loan him out? Again, it's like dicing with death. Like it's obscene confidence that they either have enough quality in the squad, and that like last year's injury crisis was down to something specific and unique, and not like just the general tale of the tape in football. And I don't think it is. Like there was loads of other teams that weren't doing handball training that had as many injuries as Tottenham did. Bournemouth were ravaged with injuries. Newcastle had the problems in the past. Arsenal had a lot. Like, so this notion that we won't get as many injuries because we're not doing handball training, that's silly. And so like either Thomas
I think we won't get as many of the same type. I think that's
maybe
what people miss out when they say that. It doesn't mean you won't get it. Injuries can happen at any moment. Like, can't they? Footballers could get out of the bath, twist their ankle. Right? It's just that's life. But Sean, we're at the stage where 2 or 3 of those get injured. We can't put out a 20-man squad. That's the one thing.
We're already fielding 3 goalkeepers, aren't we?
Yeah. 3 goalkeepers out of 22. This is the one thing, guys, giving me that, call it delusion or hope. It's the one thing that makes me think they must have some players coming in. They must have. Surely we can't do that to ourselves.
Yeah, and then you get to the question of, if they have got people coming in, why have they left it so late?
Yeah.
I think they felt that pretty secure. I believe that the Morgan Gibbs White thing has really set them back.
Yeah,
because I think that they probably knew about that months and months and months and months ago. Like, they probably were having that. Like, it's not like those conversations happen an hour before the first link drops, right? They probably be having that conversation months and months ago. And then Daniel Levy and the various stakeholders at the technical level probably thought they were being cocky and clever. That, we know that there's a clause, no one else knows, we'll just trigger it the first second we can. And they didn't think that there'd be any repercussions for making it obvious. You know, and I think that the way that fell apart, I think that is essentially, they probably just went, there's no point in a plan B there, because we're going to get Gibbs White. He wants to come. We know there's a clause. We'll trigger it. No need to negotiate. It's easy. It's done. The player's interested. The agent's on board. No need for a plan B, which is fucking stupid in and of itself, because there's no such thing in life. There's no certainties in life apart from death and taxes. But then when they made it so obvious that they were dealing in insider knowledge that they shouldn't have had, and then when Marinakis and his partner is like a King's Counsel or Queen's Counsel or whatever it's called, like one of these top shit lawyers, he probably told Marinakis, yeah, don't worry, mate. You ain't got to let that one go. Like, we can absolutely argue that one in court and drag it out. And then I think that they've scrambled ever since. I think everything else has been a scramble, and I think it's really poor, because it didn't need to go that way. You know, didn't need to go that way. The rest of it, the Paz thing, everything else has been played out in the sort of Twitter sphere via Romano's. And I mean, Romano's had the work. There's an absolute shocker. His summer's been absolutely shambolic.
He's your best mate, and he keeps your thumbnails going.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know, and nothing's going to change in that regard. He's still my guy, but you know, just there's only 6 days left, mate. I can forgive him over the next 3 months. As soon as January comes around, I'm straight back on the Romano train. You know, but for now, I think the guy's he's doing more harm to Tottenham's energy, because everyone's dealing in emotional outrage based on ignorance. No one knows what's going on. Everybody that apparently knows something there's somebody else that knows something, and that's got a legitimate access to knowledge as well. And they're saying 2 different things with Paz, with Hincapi, with Eze, with all of these things. So we don't know what the hell's going on, but all we do know is that the fact that there's no output, there's no outcomes that have been positive. So then that just invokes some emotional outrage in the moment, you know. And I think that's it's unhelpful. It's understandable from the fans' perspective, but it's unhelpful to the energy around the club.
Yeah, by the way, sorry, just quickly, Mark. Rick, you don't count the injured players though if they're out for 4, 5, 6 months. You don't, Rick, because you know you're going in at least until the January window without them. So no, you don't. And when you're saying I'm assuming a lot, I've given you some facts. That is the Spurs squad, mate. I'm not assuming anything, mate. I haven't assumed. I'm giving you some facts. I do like it when I get people like this in my chat. I do find it funny. I give you some evidence and people go, no, you're assuming. I'm not. I'm really not assuming. Big up, Stel. Sorry, Mark. I cut you off there, mate. So I just have people like Rick that say things like this.
The thought's gone. It'll come back in a minute.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Sorry,
mate. Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. I mean, Stel, can I get your take on this? It's a weird one because all window we've been going, right, how do we get rid of Bissouma? Now with 5 days and about 20 hours to go still, it's like, oh, this is a bit of a risk. Have we got enough players to cover? Where do you sit with this? Oh, Spurs.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Do you know, I was on a podcast today with a Geordie, the True Faith podcast. They're so good, that lot. and they just wanted a Spurs fan's view on the Isaac saga because they find it similar to the Harry Kane saga. It was just so refreshing to not be talking about the negatives at Tottenham and just to listen to another club's crisis. It was just felt quite good. I think we're absolutely mental to get rid of Bissouma. Honestly, I think we've lost the plot. If Gray's going to be the second choice 6, I think we've lost the plot. I don't agree with it.
You're going to get Lubo sending me abuse if you say things like that stuff.
Oh, listen, Lubo can be a Lubo.
And that's the conversation we were having earlier. It's either insanity or they've got a plan.
It's got to be one of the two, right? It's got to be one of the two.
Let's be honest, this window is probably insanity. So
yeah.
If the sale of Bissouma is to fund a top attacking player, I can swallow it.
Yeah.
But if we sell Bissouma and we don't sign a top attacking player, I'm just even by my standards of low estimation, I'll be even lower than what I thought. You know, I guess time will tell, guys. Time will tell. We'll have to wait till Sunday night to see whether or not it makes sense.
Why? I've just looked at my WhatsApp and I haven't for about half an hour. And literally, why is everyone just messaging me the same word, which is Rabiot? Like literally everybody in the world is messaging me saying.
Fabrice Hawkins has said it.
Ah, I see. Right. So, okay, here we go.
Fabrice Hawkins was like a fallen star, and then I think he was first on. I think he was first on the Mbappe story because he's a French journalist. I think he was first on the Mbappe one, and he kind of regrouped, regathered his. Estelle will probably say he's probably just guessed and got lucky, but that he's probably like in terms of French football or players coming out of France or whatever, he's probably the most respected of that particular league's ITKs. But Jesus, I mean, Adrien Rabiot. He's a player, by the way. He's an absolute player. The problem with him,
he's a really good player.
How old is he?
Feels like he's about 40, doesn't it?
No, he's not that old.
No, I know.
30 years.
Oh, he's 30 now. Is he 30? He's a very, very good player, but the baggage with that geezer is just his mum's his agent, and if he doesn't play, his mum's banging down the door, like Joe Bellingham's parents were at Dortmund on the weekend. Did you see that? Did you see Joe Bellingham got substituted? And his parents banged on the dressing room door. Why isn't my son playing?
Like it's an under 12s league or something? You know what I mean? Like, just in case anyone cared, that's Conor Gallagher in the blue and Adrien Rabiot in the pink. Just chucking out some options of people who we've seen might be on the move. And I'll tell you what I'll do to chuck in there. This guy has been linked massively the last week to leave Man United, which is Kobe Mainoo. And Kobe Mainoo's in the green.
I don't think Kobe Mainoo's not. He's another versatile player. But he's not a needle mover, is he?
No,
mate. I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he is at all. But it's the sort of thing Spurs do with 4 or 5 games in the window
right now. Would you swap Pape Sarr for Kobe Mainoo?
It's a difficult one because Mainoo Sarr for me, I feel like a lot of the hype is based off a few games rather than a number of years. Whereas Mainoo, who's a lot younger. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm not usually like this, but I'm going to be like lots of people in the chat, and there's just something about Sarr, you know.
There's something about him. I see something.
I think he's got a lot higher ceiling, particularly under Frank. But I may be wrong.
I'm a massive fan of Pape Sarr. I just think he needs to improve on his final decision.
Yeah,
he's certainly improved this season. His final decision's been much better. But generally, in the last couple of years, I've always thought he's got very unique skill sets that are very difficult to replicate. Like difficult to find if you don't have them, difficult to justify losing them if you do. And he's got it. But his final pass at times in the last couple of seasons has been horrendously poor. and it's resulted in the amount. Like I haven't seen the stats. I would imagine though, if you were to see unforced errors by Sarr specifically that have led to shots on target against, I would imagine, or big chances created or whatever. If you could like isolate those stats, I think you'd probably see a very alarming number. But if you can figure that out, he's a real player. And Kobbie Mainoo is a decent talent, but it's just because he's one of Man United's own and he's come through the youth system, he was put on a pedestal, and I don't think he's really lived up to it so far.
I mean, we're all having this chat as though Spurs are guaranteed to replace him. I think that this is literally that Paulinho was the replacement for Bissouma, but Bissouma's leaving late. That's what I think's happening. I don't think we're gonna replace him. And I was telling everybody we'll definitely get a 10. We'll definitely get a left winger. I'm not sure, guys. I'm not sure. But look, we knew.
I was going to say, talk a result from tonight. Talk about neglecting your squad and the consequences. Celtic tonight.
Oh, mate. Listen, sorry. I don't care if they were playing with their B team. There's no chance that you should be losing to Kazakhstan.
No. What
are we doing here? That's fucking meltdown mode. Brendan, you know what? Talk about Adrian Stroker from Tottenham Till I Die always says to me, this summer we failed better, right? Which I think is quite a nice way of saying we've failed miserably, but we've at least aimed for better. Brendan Rodgers will fail better. He'll get sacked by Celtic and end up at Man United in about 6 days' time. Because there's no chance that Amorim can carry on playing. That can carry on that shit show over there. You know.
God, the talk's been Southgate, isn't there? With United, we'll see.
Jesus Christ! I mean, Southgate's not a club manager, is he? Let's be honest. No.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. I mean, look, Stel, let me ask you. I mean, Bissouma, I think we all knew Bissouma was going to go right. You know, we've got this whole no dickheads policy thing that Frank talks about. But we were just saying, and before we move on from the central midfield position, we're just saying that if you lose Bentancur and Paulinho, and they're both injury-prone footballers, you're going into 4 tournaments with Gray, Bergvall, and Sarr. It's very lightweight, isn't it, Stel? It's very, very lightweight indeed in there.
Yeah, that's sad. We have the same chats every day. Like it's just rinse and repeat. What more can we say? The squad lacks depth. The squad lacks. Do you know? I was just on the 2 Mark show, and we were saying, if Kudus gets injured, the attack is dead. If Paulinho gets injured in the midfield, it's in trouble. If Van der Ven gets injured, we've got a problem. You know what? We are 2 injuries away from Archie Gray and Ben Davies being the starters in midfield and at centre back. Right? You know Richarlison's not going to last the season. He's not going to, is he going to last the season?
No, he won't last the season. He won't.
It literally is. It's. We're going to need these players to play out their skin every single game, every single week, and it's just not sustainable. No team can do that. No team.
I mean, I was about to say players. I'm a Welshman, and it's time for Ben Davies to move on, but no, I don't think we can move him on at the moment, can we?
I don't think he's ever going to leave.
I listen. I put a video out today on the Spurs 5, the Johnson dilemma. Okay, 10-minute video. Go look at the comments. Everyone's backing Johnson. Pretty much everyone's saying, yeah, he's got to play. That's where we're at. Wind back a year ago, everyone's screaming for him to leave the club, including me.
Who's that? Brennan Johnson.
Yeah,
but as I've always said, people are screaming for Brennan Johnson to play because we haven't got anything better.
Correct.
As I said, if Spurs went out and bought a top quality left-sided winger, that again, I just use Savio as the example. I don't think he's coming, by the way. If Spurs had Lookman or Savio on that left-hand side within 2 or 3 games, people wouldn't be talking about Brennan Johnson anymore because they'd see a proper winger that does proper winger stuff. So I get the point. I get the point, and I don't disagree with what you've been saying for however long. So I don't disagree with it that we can't knock him. He scores goals, but when you get a left winger that actually does left winger stuff, you know what I mean? Beating a man, bit of skill, one touch, getting the crosses in, people will start to forget.
But can I throw a conundrum into this? By the way, I'm just going to be a little bit cheeky here. I need to give a massive shout out to Paphos FC, the small fishing village from Cyprus. Big up. They are 1 minute away from knocking out Red Star Belgrade and qualifying for the Champions League. This is like Accrington Stanley playing Champions League. This is insane. They're on the brink, man. If they do it, I swear to God, if Spurs play Paphos, I'm supporting.
Who are they playing against?
Red Star Belgrade. It's unbelievable.
It's over. It's finished.
Didn't
He's done it. Yeah.
Didn't Paphos sign someone very well known or an ex-Spurs player or something? Didn't
Sava, because of Champions League rules, they couldn't even play in their stadium tonight. They had to move it to a different ground. That's how small this club. This is. If Spurs play Paphos in the Champions League, I'm gonna sit with the Paphos fans. I'm gonna be a complete fraud.
They signed David Luiz, mate.
Was it David Luiz?
David Luiz plays for Paphos FC. Yeah,
Stop it. Love it.
And Miroslav Orsic as well. He's a bit of a baller at the top end.
Are we all going out to my homeland? Are we all going out to Cyprus?
Oh, mate. If we get drawn away in Greece or in Cyprus, I'm
Excuse me,
go.
we're not all the same. We're not all the bloody same. The Greeks and the Turks and the
sorry, I don't understand politics. But if we draw against Paphos, I'm going there and I'm going to take a little road trip to Ayia Napa, Iggy and Nipnops, and I'm going to spend about 4 or 5 days trying to be an old bar flyer again, like I was back in the day when I was 17.
You can all stay in my house in Paphos, and we'll have a great time. All right, we'll have a brilliant
Paphos
time.
Away. Sounds good.
Fingers crossed. Spurs draw Paphos.
Spurs 5 on tour gets expedited.
Spurs 5 on tour. If we're going to do it, let's go somewhere where we're going to get a suntan for anyone that can tan. And every time I go to Cyprus, what's your name? Sava. They go, they immediately talk to me in Greek. Immediately start rolling out sentences in Greek, and I'm like, oh, I only know every little bit.
So you're Greek and Stelios, you're Cypriot. Is that right? Or descent?
No, Sava's Cypriot as well.
Are you both Cypriot?
Yeah, I'm Greek Cypriot.
You've got Greek Cypriot, Turkish Cypriot, and then you've got this small fraction of Italians called the Maronites. By the way, I actually support, I've got it here, Apoel FC, not Paphos, but I'll support Paphos if they get in there, because that's it. Like I told you,
so who are the warring? Not to take this into a political conversation, just for an education quickly, because I'll forget later. Who there's political? Is it like Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland in that part of the world?
No, it's worse. It's the only divided country in the world that's actually divided.
So you got what? You've got the Greek on one side.
Yeah, I know. Where are we going with this?
Oh no, sorry. I'm just curious. Sorry.
Listen, all the Cypriots get on. The Turkish.
Educate me on WhatsApp.
They'll get on. It's external forces that cause the problems on the island. But anyway.
What's the typical name of a Greek Cypriot girl? If Helga is Norwegian, what's my Greek Cypriot name of a bird out there?
Maria.
Maria. Okay.
I was going to say Maria or Christina or something like that.
Christina. I was going to say, Sean, do you want to go back to Bodo or Paphos?
100%, mate. They smashed it. If we get Bodo away and Paphos away, I am going to be out of this country for most of 2025, 2026. It's going to be sensational.
Sava, that was all my fault. I completely created that. That was my fault. I just had to big them up because, honestly, for them to get into the Champions League is unheard of.
It was an 89th minute winner.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
By the way, anyone who was asking me to compare Bissouma to these central midfielders, Bissouma's the yellow. And what you can see there is really worrying that, like, key passes, carrying, not great, but his possession won and his duels are brilliant. But key passes, ball carrying, not at all. So anyway, let me move this on, guys.
But wait, no, I wanted to talk about this, but then I completely derailed my own chat.
Okay, go on.
Is there an argument to be said if we sign a left winger that's really good at creating, really good at dribbling, causes panic, causes chaos, sets up lots of opportunities? who's going to score those opportunities? Because as it stands right now, Kudus isn't scoring, but he's creating. Solanke's not scoring. The midfield aren't scoring. But there's nothing coming from Bentancur. When Gray plays, he doesn't score. When Bergvall plays, he hardly scores. All our goals, we'll go from PSG onwards, have come from defenders or Richarlison and Johnson. Is there a case to be said, if you have Kudus on the right, you have Savio on the left, that you actually play with Richarlison and then a false 9 Johnson and a hybrid 8-10 with a 6? Because Johnson and Richarlison between them can get onto that creativity and actually put the ball in the back of the net. Because no one else in this team is doing that at the moment. Just putting it out there.
Look, listen, Stel. This is why, for me, I've said the whole time that we've got to get that on the left and in the number 10, because I worry about the centre forwards. And what we've got a tendency to do, mate, as you know, is someone like Richarlison has 2 or 3 good games in a row, and all of a sudden we pretend, we're absolutely fine now up front. Look how good they are. We do this as well with Solanke. Do you know what I mean? And I don't trust either of them. I still don't. I'm not easily bamboozled because I've seen 2 or 3 good games in a row. I want to see this for 6 months in a row. I want to see this for a season. Do you know what I mean? I don't trust either of them that they can be consistent. So I think we need goals from the wing. I think we need goals from the number 10. We need to find a way to get Kudus closer to goal. I don't know if that answers your question in any way, shape or form, but that's where I'm at with the goal situation.
Our top goal scorer last year was Johnson. Our current top goal scorer this season is Johnson. I think he's shit. I don't rate him, but if he's the only one that's going to make the right runs at the right time and put his foot on the ball in the right way and put the ball in the back of the net, dropping him for players that aren't going to do that is nuts. Unless we can guarantee those goals from the wide area, then I just think maybe playing Johnson and Richarlison together might be a better alternative if we get a really good wide player. If Savio comes and scores 10, 15 goals and creates, you don't need Johnson or Richarlison, for example.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't be against it, because the Welsh fans will tell you Johnson plays as the second striker predominantly for Wales, or, just off the striker. So, yeah, I wouldn't be against it as long as the system works for it. Johnson, just you'll know as good as anyone, but Johnson isn't someone who's going to beat a player and create anything. He needs space to run into, and as long as that system works for him to have that space, then he'll score goals. But he's not going to give you much else.
Yeah. Can I just do a few super chats, guys? You comfortable with me doing that? By the way, please, if you haven't already, please, and you do want the replica shirts, please go to okjersey.com, type in Sava as a coupon, and you get 8% off. They're only about £15 anyway if you're in the UK, and just convert that to euros or wherever you're buying from. Some really good shirts there. Please get over there. And if you get one, please put in Sava. You get 8% off, and it lets them know that the partnership between me and them is worthwhile. So please do that. Let's do some super chats quickly. Big up to Andy Lester, who said the 2nd of September is my birthday. A Spurs meltdown. Andy, I can assure you I won't be having a Spurs meltdown on the 2nd of September. I'm going to be round the pool in Turkey on my all-inclusive holiday. So I might put out a video. It might have a 10-minute rant, and then I will get my pina colada, sit in my sunbed, and not worry about it. That's a lie. I will be worried about it. But yeah, big up to you, man. Happy birthday for the 2nd, Andy. Thanks, mate. Big up to Adam Feldman. Said, Sava, what doggy biscuits do we have today? The doggy biscuit scandal of yesterday. Yes, where I said I'd eat a doggy biscuit for 500 quid. Yes, brilliant. Big up to you, Adam. Thank you very much. No doggy biscuits here today, I'm afraid. Big up to Blaine. Very generous as always. Said, evening, lads. Can we just fast forward to September the 2nd? I've only felt this much frustration being cock blocked at an after party. Levy can go play real life Monopoly to his heart's content, but please stop on the football. Blaine, I think we feel your pain. Don't mean to make it all rhyme, Mate, listen, thank you. That's very, very generous. And yeah, let's hope we can move quickly in the next 3 or 4 days, if that's the word. Big up to you. Big up to Dean Law with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Dean. Really appreciate you, buddy. Thank you very much. Always very generous to me. It doesn't go unnoticed. Big up to Super Airly Birds, who said Levy in for a toxic PM on Saturday. The rat won't care. You talking about in terms of the crowd for the home game on Saturday, right? I can only imagine if there aren't more signings that there will be a lot of toxic chanting, or I don't, whatever goes on, but it will be a bit toxic, you should think. Big up to you. Big up to Phil P, who's a question. If no signing by Saturday, will Sean be at the protest with me? Ciders and hugs are needed after this window. Hugs available for everyone, by the way. Sean?
Well, I'll be at the protest, yeah, because content's got a content.
Do you know what? This can I say something? You know, this protest, I've noticed something. The meet time's at 2:00, and then the march starts at 2:15. The march normally takes about 30 minutes to slowly walk, stop, get some media attention, continue. Then it stands outside the West Stand, and there's some singing and chanting. The game kicks off at 3. I don't know whether this is going to cause some disruption to fans getting into the stadium late, because it blocks off accessing from the West Stand to the South Stand. So I don't understand this. What the thing?
I've got I'm doing Billy T's coming on my channel tomorrow night to promote the protest and to have a general kind of tete-a-tete. Obviously, like I've got only respect for the guy. I think he's brilliant, a brilliant advocate of his movement. I think he's very intelligent, articulate, clever, and comes across really well. But I personally don't subscribe to the way that Change for Tottenham go about their Twitter ideas. I think they come across really, really poor at times. And so just having a one-on-one tomorrow. But yeah, I always support the protest and I always promote them. I think that the right to protest is absolutely necessary. And I think it's important that people feel like they're able to express their dissatisfaction. So it'll be a good conversation, hopefully, with him. It's the first time I'm going to have it on my channel. First time he's going to come on the channel. A lot of debuts on the channel this week. Stell made his. Billy T's making his. So I always support the...
converting you, Sean. You're converting you to... You're going to be full-blown Levy out.
You know, Sean being at the protests and saying content's got a content is the same as if we turn on our screen and see that Stell has got Fabrizio Romano on his channel. You know what I mean? And going, oh, Fab, what's happening with what's happening with this signing, Fab? Yeah, what's going on?
That'll be a car crash if that ever happened. Can you ask Billy T, by the way, just to explain the 2:00 meet 2:15 protest for a 3:00 kickoff? Because I'd actually want to know.
Yeah, that sounds odd. That sounds
it's a bit
odd.
close to kickoff, I think. It's a little bit close to kickoff.
You can join if you want,
Phil,
no,
I want to watch you two talk, actually.
Phil P in all of this is offering out free hugs as well, by the way.
Yeah,
so
I'll come and get a free hug, and I am a cider anyway, so mate. So ciders on me, hugs on you. How about that? And Phil P does give an amazing hug, by the way. He gives one of the best hugs in the game. Have you ever had a hug from him, Sava?
Yeah, he was at my house the other day. We had a hug. Yeah,
was it a proper hug?
Yeah, it was a big old hug. Yeah, especially nice, after I told you he was doing 95% shots. So that was.
Oh really?
I went to him. Listen, I said, look at this. It's like a Polish spirit. It's literally like, is it rectified alcohol they call it, or whatever it is? And I opened the cap. When it's one of those where you go, wow, like just wow. Phil P went, I'll do it. Bang! It was like, oh my gosh. Then did another one. I was like, oh, you're an animal.
All over the place.
Oh, no, he wasn't, to be fair. He wasn't. I thought I was going to see
him. You can put him away, to be fair to him. You can put him away. When I saw him in Bilbao, that man had driven like 20 hours straight, and he was absolutely slamming back ciders. And what were we having, mate? Was it large vodka and tangos in like a fishbowl? Oh. And we all had giant straws, and Phil and me were going toe to toe. It was a good. Anyone that can go toe to toe with this guy needs a high five, you know.
But there we go. A big up to a user. Yeah. Said Levy's ambition means little without action. 20 years of rinse and repeat. Wasted cash. Underwhelming signings. Great businessman. poor football leader. Good job Lubo's not here, because whenever anyone says that Daniel Levy's a good businessman, he goes, good businessman, good business. And then we get a 20-minute rant. Big up to you, user. Thank you very much. Big up to Finn, who has said, if loaning Vuskovic because he's younger than Takai, then that's stupid. Takai is built like a child and will be a train crash in the Prem with injury history. Is Takai built like a child? I actually thought when I'd seen him play, I thought it was quite a good size. I've only seen videos of him, but I don't know. Listen, big up Finn. Look, who knows? There's been a lot of talk about centre-halves coming, Finn, hasn't there? There's been a lot of talks. Maybe we get one in the last week. Who knows? Who knows? Big up to you. A user's coming again. Said this window similar to red light shopping in Dam. I have no idea what you mean. I have no idea what this sentence means. Big up to you, a user. Blaine's come back in again and said, Sean, Bodo Glimt qualified tonight also. Do I smell a Helga reuniting on the cards? You're Scandinavian. Are you off to Norway again?
Mate, that was the best day. Honest to God, Henry, myself, and Johnny drinking beers at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting home at 4 o'clock in the morning the next day. It was the best day. The Norway, like getting up in the fresh air, seeing like the whales and that, and just everything about it was just an unbelievable experience. I would absolutely love it if we got to go back there. It was so much fun, and it pissed down all day long, but it was one of the best days I've had in about 3 or 4 years of my life, and I'll 100% do it all again. Although Helga, that little, she didn't text me back. I'm gonna fight you, Helga.
Did Henry?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Passport or something? Did something happen?
We got on a plane. It was a chartered plane, right? From I forget the name of the company. And so we get on the plane at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, and we fly there. And obviously, because you can't get into Norway, right, unless you have your passport. Right?
Yeah, sure.
You're still in no man's land, international land or whatever. And Henry lost his passport on the plane. And so there's 200 Spurs fans, and we have to we get on the plane, we have to go through passport control, and then we come out into this small airport, and then we all have to queue up again so that we can check in for the return leg home, because there'll be no one there later on, right? So we're all queuing up, and I was at the front of the plane, and luckily got the best seat on the plane. So I'm at the front of the queue, and Henry's next to me with Johnny, and then Henry goes, "Mate, I can't find my passport." I was like, It's here somewhere. He's like, I can't find it. And he starts to panic and go into. I was like, mate, what are you doing? So we have to wait for Henry. And by the time he finds his passport, he's at the back of a 250 long queue. And it's just one Norwegian poor woman that's stamping everyone and giving their. So basically 2 hours was wasted because Henry's a bozo.
Do you know what? The first time I met Henry in person was going on a weekend trip to Poland.
Oh, you told me that. When you employed him, right? And it was he got absolutely messed up. Yeah. And
it was his sitting on.
It was his stag do this weekend just gone.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it? Fair play to him. Fair play. I bet that was messy. Anyway, we digress. Big up to you, Blaine. Norway it is. And my favourite super chat for last. Ins fraud as a Sava, you always lie. Ange over Frank. Okay. I don't know what to say to that. You paid me to say this. And by the way, I blocked you about 5 minutes ago for spamming. And you've paid me to read out a super chat calling me a liar. Sure. Big up to Ins Fraud, everyone. Big up to you. Guys, let's move on to Paratici, the Don, the Fab, the crook, the criminal that is Don Fabio Paratici is taking over as director of football again from September/October. Make of that what you will, just as the window shuts. This isn't unexpected news. I would have expected it at the beginning of the window, but what do we all make of this? I mean, is he as great as people think? Is he not great? Is he somewhere in the middle? Do we care that he's back? Is it just as long as his name's not Lang? Where are you all at with it?
Why is he coming after the window?
Yeah.
It's because of his.
That's where I'm at. That was my first question. Yeah.
Because of his.
He doesn't need any money.
Right now.
Yeah.
He's in court right now. He's still got a civil court case. So the reason why AC Milan walked away from rehiring him is because they didn't want to rehire him and then for something else to happen. So, and I'd imagine that's the same with Tottenham, by the way. I'd imagine that Tottenham are going to wait and see how the court goes.
Shouldn't we wait for that to happen before we announce he's coming back?
Have we announced it?
Isn't that what this question's about?
No, it's not been announced, is it? It's just rumours, right, Sava?
I mean, it was put out by, I think, Mike McGrath, also by all of Stell's mates. I think Mike McGrath, I think Ben Jacobs, all of these are all saying that he's coming back. I think when everyone
so
gets
the ITKs have said he's coming back without anyone knowing the outcome of his court case.
Yeah, basically.
I'm done.
It's a civil court case, so I'm not sure if it's the same. Like, I don't know what civil in the UK essentially means. The worst you can get is a fine.
Yeah.
If you wanted to wind up
in Italy, I don't know.
If you wanted to wind up Spurs fan and get loads and loads of traction and comments on the internet, tell them Paratici's coming back after the transfer window. That's shit.
Yeah. I swear the ITKs are all being manipulated to screw over to wind up the Spurs fans this summer.
100%.
Still, like you and I obviously fundamentally don't agree or haven't agreed over the past with regards to the history of Daniel Levy. I think we're pretty much aligned on this summer thus far, and I'm probably sure we probably agree on a lot of things about Tottenham, the football club, the team rather. But on I've got to give you your props, mate. Like you bang on about the ITK thing this summer, mate. Absolutely bang on.
Thank you.
Gosh, Sean getting called out. Sean, in other words, you take advantage of your audience, Sean, by saying content as the content.
No, I'm not taking advantage. I'm taking advantage of the fact that I'm in the area and I have a channel of people that like to know what's going on with Tottenham. So I will record some of the Tottenham protest. Like, you ain't got to watch it, Jordan. This guy, mate. This guy is an absolute fraud, by the way. Right? Whenever we're on the Spurs 5 or in like your channel or whenever I go on a neutral channel, he's a nasty piece of work to me. And then he comes on my channel the next day and he's like, "All right, Sean, love you,
hey,
bro.
Mate. See you,
Shut
Sean.
up, you Burke. What are we doing here?"
I don't think a lot of people who are YouTube viewers understand how much we remember who has said what. Like, I see a lot of these names.
Jordan, by the way. There's Jordan Two Hots, and there's a guy that's just called Jordan. There might be the same person, but either way, the name to me is shameless in the attacks on third-party channels. But when I'm on the personal channel, on my own channel, nice as pie, very, very receptive, very like. Oh, what do you think about this player, Sean? Somewhere else, Sean, you absolute mug! I can't stand you.
Do you know the ones that do my head in? It's the ones that bash you when you're on everyone else's channel. And on your channel, they come in, they're all nice, and they say, "Did you hear what that channel said? You got to call them out. You've got to say something." It's like, what? You go and do it.
Sava, what do you think about what Stell called you an hour ago? And it's like, oh, God.
I got one of them earlier, mate. I got one of them earlier saying, why is Sava redirecting to you half an hour after calling you out for an hour on the stream? I didn't. Whatever. Let him call me out.
These people not realise that we'll call each other out to our faces. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I want to say something, I don't go, "Oh yeah, I agree, Stell, I agree," and then suddenly, right now, Stell's left the show. What an absolute dreadful opinion from that. Like, oh no, honestly, after years of this, you learn, don't you? You learn so much after doing this for years. Mark, as a YouTube viewer and not a YouTuber, what do you make of YouTube viewer comment sections? Like, you must see some of the shit that goes on and think,
well, I'm a mod, so yeah, I have to deal with it as well. No, yeah, obviously people won't know this, but a lot of my background, sports media, and I've done a lot of the media side of it, so I've been exposed to it myself. There used to be in the old age forums and whatnot, the internet forums, and there'd be people slagging you off, and then they meet you in person, you'd be like, "Oh, you're brilliant, fantastic." No, you know me, it's the faceless trolls. I'll call them out, and yeah, for me personally, do I care? No, I think Sean's very much the same as you are. Yeah, I just think if you've got something to say it to someone's face. I will never say something to someone that I wouldn't about someone that I wouldn't say to their face.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
And that's how you should operate in life.
So back to Paratici. If Paratici is joining Tottenham again, is this Lang leaving? Is this Lang being demoted into some sort of youth scout? What's going on here, guys? Is he that guy? Because for me, I'm not gonna lie, I want better. I want better than Paratici. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I was going to say that I thought at the start of the summer there was talk of Lang focusing on the youth area, which would make sense if Paratici's coming in. In terms of will he be any good? Who knows? He brought us Bentancur and Kulusevski, but
and Brian Hill and Emerson Royale and Galini and Richarlison and
Van de Ven. Was it Romero? Romero was his.
Yeah, Romero was his.
So he's hit and miss. So is he better than Lang? Probably. So
Mark, he can't be worse, can he?
No. Lang, it's almost like a Brennan Johnson, isn't it? He'll do his job, but there's definitely better out there. So
are we harsh on Lang, guys? Because like when a lot of people blame Levy for not getting the deals finally over the line. How do we then decipher as football fans how much of the job was the director of football, the scout, versus the chairman and CEO not getting deals done? Do you know what I mean? How do we know that the horse isn't being led to water but not drinking, if that makes sense?
For me personally, it's a bit of everything, but it's like with the Eze deal, for example. Were we ever going to get him? Really? Who knows? Because of Arsenal. He ended up at Arsenal. So it's again knowing it's the food chain thing, isn't it? And being self-aware about where you are in the food chain. And I think that's where we need to improve on. I think we need to bridge a gap between us and the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City. We're not going to do that by targeting the players that they're targeting as well. So we need to be more self-aware about the people we're going for and really bridge the gap. And it's that being sensible about the targets rather than going for the unrealistic ones. And that's where I think we've fallen down this window. Personally.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, where are you at with this in terms of Paratici coming back? Because for me, Sean, can I just say this? It just feels Spursy. And what I mean by this is only Spurs could have a director of football that gets in trouble for, I'm not going to pretend I know what the exact ins and outs were, gets in trouble with the Italian courts, goes away for a couple of years and then comes back as director. It feels like it's the sort of thing only Tottenham would entertain.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm torn on it because I think that I spent a lot of time with Johnny, who'll have you believe that he's the best thing that's ever happened and the best director of football ever. I remember he's done a lot. He's definitely better than the previous chair, or many of the more recent previous DOFs. But he's not flawless. He's like, for every good one that he signed at good value, most of them came from Italy, so he knows his market in Italy. But he signed a couple of bozos as well along the way, didn't he? That didn't work out, and he definitely comes with some baggage, and like, let's be honest, like the reason why we're talking about his civil case and the fact that he had a 2-year ban was because he was up to all sorts at Juve. He was up to all sorts. So like, let's extrapolate the argument here and say, let's say he does come back and then everyone has their way when they say, look, either Levy leaves the club altogether or at least he gets sidelined and let a football guy do the football thing. Do you really want that guy with his history of fudging numbers and a little bit of like questionable, I don't even know the legality status, so I'll call it alleged corruption, whatever. Do you really want that guy to be in charge of the overarching sort of the footballing decisions if his history suggests that the guy's got, he's more than happy to move numbers around, inflate valuations and all these things to do things for Juve? I'm not saying he did that stuff alone, but he's more than happy. He's allegedly been more than happy to participate in some opaque decision making, shall we call it? So like, I don't know. I don't really know, mate. What I do know is I think Johan Lang is a bozo. I think Johan Lang Johan Lang's very good at finding an 18-year-old from Scandinavia, potentially, but he's been absent without leave this summer.
Isn't that what you did when you went to Norway?
That's what I was going to say.
What's that,
You're pretty good
at Scandinavian
talent spotting.
She was 25.
Did she know you were nearly 50? Did she? No, Mark, I know you've got to go.
Mark, I know you've got to go. I got an old dog to sort out. Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Lovely to see you. Take care.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.
He's a lovely guy, isn't he? Really, really nice guy, that bloke.
Yeah, I love
lovely
Mark. Guy. Mark's really cool. But yeah, it just feels strange, doesn't it? Like, is this if this happens still, is this the club's way of pinning blame on Lang for this transfer window? I mean, do you know what I mean? There's more questions than answers, as always. That's how I see it.
The thing is, we never know what the criteria is that the football director has to work under, because
sure
is it just feels that no matter who the football director is, we always do business quite late into the window, and we always seem to buy quantity, not quality, and we always seem to come out of every window feeling a little bit underwhelmed, and that pattern exists regardless of who the football director is. And I think with Paratici, it just felt a little bit better. For every dud, at least there was a good one. And it felt like let's give him some credit here. He restructured our entire academy and he overhauled it massively, breaking the pay structure to attract better youngsters. He brought in Simon Davies, who is much better than the guy we had in charge after McDermott left. And Simon Davies, he's doing a good job. He is, honestly, he's doing a good job with the academy. So Paratici has done some very good things for the academy. It's better than where it was before Paratici came. And that's probably because he's got a lot of experience observing what Juventus does and, elite level clubs do, that he can bring that experience and say, look, you need to be doing A, B, C, D. And he's also brought in some good players to the club, given the money that was spent on those players. But yeah, he's not God. He's not this amazing chief scout football director, but he's better than what we were used to. Other than Paul Mitchell, you could say he's probably the second best or the best we've seen at Spurs. But it's been so underwhelming the last 2 years with Lange. Honestly, you just think, this is too much. So I think it's a step up. It's a bit like what we were saying the other day. If we sign Nico Paz, right? He might not be the best. He might not be elite. He might not be the finished product, but it's better than what we've got. You take it all day long. You would. If that's all we're going to be getting, you take it. It's the same with Paratici. He's better than what we've got. You take it. It's an improvement. That's how I see it.
Yeah, Alex, by the way, you're more than welcome to come on. I've got a hard stop at 11 p.m. tonight, so I've got 19 minutes. Got a hard stop at 11 p.m. I mean, look, it's an interesting one, guys. It feels like this has been a window very much with a lot of news around the edges, right? Rather than the actual main news that we need. Would that be fair to say? There's been a lot that's gone on with the Eze scandal, the Gibbs-White scandal. Is Savio going to happen? Paratici now. And, it feels like everything now in this last 4 or 5 days needs to stop being that, right? And realistically, guys, we have got to. I know we all laugh and joke about it, but realistically, in this last 4 or 5 days, Spurs have got to, from somewhere, get something over the line, because it is now, I do feel like this is going to be the straw that breaks a lot of people's backs if we don't. We can't end the window with this, can we? We just can't. That would be criminal, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think the look, we can't. But I still don't think we're going to be no matter how busy we are. If we go and pay 80 million for Savio, and by the way, that story's all gone quite quiet, hasn't it? Like over the last few days, very quiet. That's what I said. I think that we put in an offer. I believe, and this is my gut. I don't have no idea, but I would imagine we put in an offer, and it's now the ball's in their court, and they're just going to drag it out. Just going to just drag it out, and then we're going to wait, and then City are going to go, nah, sorry. And I think that's where I think that Daniel Levy screwed up. He should have given like 24 hours. Here's our final number. No more negotiation. Like this is the number. Take it or leave it. And if they say no, we move on. But this we don't know. We're in no man's land. We're in limbo because we've allowed them to sit there and think about it. So, or maybe they've just shut down any communication from any agents, and we already know the answer is no. Whatever. But either way, even if you get him, even if you go and get a Paqueta, and everyone's suddenly going, "Wow, this window's suddenly back up to an 8.5 out of 10 again." Even then, you are still one Palhinha injury away from chaos. You are still one Ed Spence. You are still one Romero. You are still one Van der Ven. You are still one Solanke, Richard. You're still one injury away, or Kudus especially. And you're not going to do it. There's no chance you're going to do enough. And that's why I still believe that Lookman, for me, is probably a better fit than Savio. Because he's a little guy as well. Like he's not. I'm not saying he's like a monster, but he's stocky. He's put on so much muscle in his time in Italy, and he can hold the ball up, and he can run and drive, and he's a great finisher. He's not a carbon copy of Kudus, but he's a similar type of player, whereas Savinho isn't. And if you lose Kudus and you bring in Savinho, if Kudus goes down injured, you still can't do what we have been doing in the last 3 games with such amazing outcomes, because Kudus is so quintessentially pivotal in that whole thing. And so, I don't know.
He's got a very unique skill set, Kudus. This is what I was trying to say, Sean. When people were saying when we signed him, but look at the GA last year, said you've got to sometimes look at what else a footballer does. So, for example, when I watched the Everton game the other day, Grealish, for example, is he that quick, diminutive little player he was when he was at Villa? No. But what he does brilliantly is when the ball goes out to him, he holds on to it. He's strong. He holds onto the ball, and he brings other players into the game. And that's what
more than that, mate. More than that. In 45 minutes of football for Everton, you saw he's like a man reborn. You know, I felt like the last year at City was like a very suppressed version of him. And you were I'll say it. You know, I was pretty sort of like, I don't really rate. Don't rate him. I don't really rate the idea of the transfer. Yeah. But in what I've seen thus far of him in an Everton shirt, very impressive. And he looks like a guy that's just taken the shackles off. That City kind of drowned him down, sort of ground him down a little bit. So
that Everton for me would have been perfect on loan to kick the can down the road. A lot of can kicking, by the way, but that would have been perfect for me. But you're right. To your Kudus point, and it'd be interesting to get Stell's take on this. You are right. You know, Lookman does give you a little bit of that kind of that
not to the same degree, but similar.
Yeah. Whereas Savio is more your dream on the transition. He's quick, he's skillful, and let's be fair, no fullback is going to want to be left one-on-one with Savio. Let's be brutally honest.
Yeah, but can you get the ball to him? Can you get the ball to him as easily if you've only got Richarlison as your target?
Well, no, but that's where I think the number 10 comes into play, right? That's where I think the number 10 comes into play. If you've got a number 10 that, listen, I said before, if you've got Bentancur and Paulinho and they're giving it to a number 10 and that number 10's got, right, I've got Richie through the middle or I've got Kudus there and Savio there, right? You've got options.
Amazing.
And this guy in the middle dictates. Right now, what we're doing is saying, right, Paulinho or Bentancur, and this isn't their game, they have to get the out ball. They have to find the pass before the goal, if you will. And listen, those players are called playmakers for a reason, right? Playmakers are few and far between because it's a rare skill set. Not everyone's got that creative gene in their body.
But in every single game, sorry, before we bring in every single game that we played, PSG, Burnley, and Man City, all entirely different challenges, Kudus has been the outlet. And the connection, the chemistry between Kudus and Richarlison has been really impressive.
And Porro and Kudus, by the way, as
and
well.
Porro, 100%, right? And so I worry. I worry that even if you get Savio, it's not the same. I'm not saying I don't want him. Of course I want him. But him without a 10 is like, I don't know, like
it's got to be both, mate. Listen,
without the cream, you know what I mean? Like, if we're only going to get one player, I'd rather get Lookman. If you're going to get a 10 and a winger, then I'm happy with Savinho. But a Savinho by himself, I'm not sure I'm not sure what how that works in my thought process.
Still, where are you at with that? I mean, listen, Sean is correct there. The whole Savio thing built up a head of steam, didn't it? And it was once we've played City. It's like, all right, well, we beat City 4 days ago. Where are you at with this whole thing? Lookman, Savio, something's got to give, right? Something.
Yeah, I never believed he would get in Savio. I've been consistent with it. I never ever believed he'd come to Spurs. City are going to want some retribution for the whole Kane thing, and Levy calling out City about the charges on that documentary he did with Neville. I just now we've beaten them as well. That just adds a bit more pain. I never thought this is a deal that would happen, and I think that's how it's going to end up. I don't think we'll get Lookman either. I think we're going to end up with
Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, listen, if we get Jadon Sancho, I actually believed you earlier,
didn't you? You believed me.
I was holding back from losing my mind. I was going to just
basically swear. Everybody in a WhatsApp group we're in for the Spurs 5. I sent there was a post saying Spurs might be in for Jadon Sancho, and I said this is what I'm talking. This is a top player. This is everything Spurs need. And still, I was waiting for the bite, but it didn't quite reach the biting stage. But
I bit my tongue. I was gonna fucking lose it.
No. Sancho wouldn't ball for us. Sancho hasn't balled for anyone for many, many years. No.
Do you know? I do think we're going to sign a player or two. I do. I just don't think it's going to be the names and the level that we had our hopes built up on.
Yeah.
I just, maybe a championship player, and maybe or Hackney. By the way, Hackney's not too bad. By the way, I know a lot of fans won't like him, but he's a good player.
He is a good player. It's optics still. Do you know what I mean? I think if Hayden Hackney comes in at the end of a transfer window where you've bought Savio, if you've bought Savio, Paqueta, Paulinho and Kudus, and then you go and get Hackney to cover midfield, I think fans will go, yeah, I'll take that. I think right now where we're at, anyone that is not a really good player is going to really underwhelm, isn't it? Like Hackney, Kudus, Kudus.
If we sign Hackney now and that's it, it's going to be a meltdown, even though he is actually a good player. But I don't want to repeat myself, guys, but I'm going to. Frank's been brought in to work with this squad. I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced. And the more good results we get, the more the board are going to be convinced by it. I just pray to God they've signed some talent, man. I mean, the difficult thing for us more than anything is if we do go and sign a top player, that club has literally got a day or two to find a replacement or to fill that void. And are they going to want to do business on that basis? Forget the asking price and the money. Are they prepared to sell a key asset or a player that they're going to need someone that can fill that position? Are they going to want to do business with 2 days to go? I don't know. I don't think they will, unless they've already got a replacement at the club. So when we got Paulinho, for example, Bayern didn't care because they already had a 6. It's like, yeah, take him. We've got one. We're going to have to identify a player.
Well, that's Conor Gallagher then, isn't it? Because Atletico Madrid have replaced Conor Gallagher already.
Is he a 10? No. Is he a wide player? No.
Well, he's a bit of everything, isn't he? But he's certainly. Well, they have bought 2 or 3 players in this summer that would make his minutes a little bit more difficult.
Sure. If we sold Bissouma and Conor Gallagher comes in, you'd say, yeah, take it. That's your Bissouma replacement. Done. Perfect. But we still need a 10. We still need a left winger. We still need a left-sided centre-back. We still need, the key position.
I feel like tens of there's very few teams that have 10s that you want to take that have got a second team behind it, a second 10 behind it.
Yeah,
which is why they need time. Which is why they need time to source their replacement. And this is the danger we're now in.
We talk Paqueta,
and then that team would need their replacement, and then that team would need their replacement. It's a knock-on effect, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone see a world in which, and we've got 8 minutes of the show left to go, by the way, guys? Anyone see a world in which Paqueta is it Paqueta? Does anyone see a world in where that can happen? We know that, listen, for me, I'm going to call it, he's too good for West Ham. I think he's another one of those where you will see him shine if he goes to a better club. West Ham are in free fall. Any chance, or again, is it going to be, will West Ham do this with us with 5 days to go?
Only if we pay silly money so the board can justify it to their fan base.
What, 70?
65 million quid, whatever you were going to, I said it on a tweet earlier, whatever you had for Morgan Gibbs-White, you pay all of it. All of that money goes to Paqueta right now.
And more. For West Ham to let Paqueta go on transfer deadline day and not have a complete and utter civil war.
And to Spurs.
And to Spurs, after already giving up Kudus, the only way this deal works is if we drop in excess of 80 million. I'm telling you. I don't see the deal happening otherwise. I don't.
The thing is that West Ham would argue without him, they go relegated, and that's going to cost them more than 80 million anyway.
Right, so we need 90 million. It's not happening, is it? It's not happening.
I like him. I think in our number 10 position,
I think he's amazing.
I think he's strong, he's powerful, he gets in the box, he's capable of moments of brilliance, and I reckon he'd get 10 to 15 goals from midfield over a course of 60 games. I do.
If West Ham wants 60 million quid right now, you don't go and offer them 60 million. You go and offer them 65 and say there's 5 for to apologise for the timing. But Daniel Levy will never do that, will he?
And apologies for the meltdown that you're about to get from your fan base. He's 65.
West Ham won't entertain this deal unless we offer crazy money. Honestly,
is there anyone that could go the other way to sweeten the deal?
Bissouma.
Well,
maybe Solomon.
Is Solomon good enough for West Ham? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
West Ham will be in the Championship next season, and he scored 22 goals, didn't he?
You'd have to give them Solanke, something like that.
Archie Gray on loan. Archie Gray on loan.
Yeah, that'll work.
I was watching a bit of their game earlier, and I see it's his second goal he scored in 2 games. And I just thought, we need that guy. He's strong, he's powerful, got that little bit of arrogance, which I think you do. I think you need a bit of that. I think you do. But guys, I'm not saying he's my number one. I genuinely don't know where you go with 5 days to go. He's
my top choice 10, 100%.
Oh, really?
I actually rate him. I rate him for what we need more than I rated Morgan, more than I rated Eze. People can disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, Eze is a player that is his first thought is to turn and run with it. He's not a great passer. He isn't. And if you go and get a left winger like a Savio, and you've got a Kudus, you need a 10 that can connect the dots. Otherwise, you have. If you had brought in an Eze and you had got a Savio, the fan base would have been absolutely like, oh my god, we're winning it all. But ultimately, there's no 10. There's no passer there. There's no connector in chief. None. Paqueta's that guy. Paqueta for me, as soon as the second that we signed Kudus, I was like, I literally said it the day after. I was like, wait a minute, we can sell West Ham. We can buy players from West Ham. Go and get me Paqueta immediately. And I'd love it if we got him. I think the guys. I hope all that gambling stuff's in the background. I don't know if he's like an addict.
Got cleared of it, didn't he?
He got cleared of it, but I don't know whether the details were like he's an addict, like the Tonali thing, or like the player that was at Brentford who went to Saudi. What's his name? I forget. The striker. Who was the striker at Brentford who went to Saudi? Who had gambling problems?
Tony.
Ivan Toney, thank you. So Tonali and Tony, they were like they're gambling addicts, right? Like Paul Merson, like a problem that it's difficult to resolve. I don't know if that's what the story was with Paqueta or whether Paqueta was just caught up in some like match fixing kind of stuff. I don't know, but he got cleared of it all anyway. So.
I'd love him in a Spurs shirt. I'll be honest. I think what he does fit the mold as well is he's another one. If those three, if it was Kudus, Paulinho, Paqueta, all Premier League experienced, all powerful, all men. We would have stepped away from signing kids and children. Do you know what I mean? We would have actually signed men.
How many games do Newcastle win just because they just people like Joe Linton just bully players, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you're not afraid of going to St James's Park if you've got Paulinho, Kudus, Paqueta, a Lookman, a Richarlison. You're not intimidated by their strength if you can match them in that regard.
Yeah, I just wonder whether or not we even tried it. I don't know. Listen, for me, I feel like it's going to be one of those that we go to. I reckon Paqueta would be all over it. I reckon the player himself, he's a Spurs fan, I'm led to believe. From what I hear.
Apparently there's photos knocking around with him when he was a kid in a Tottenham shirt. I haven't seen them, but apparently the truth.
Sava, only because there's a few minutes left, and you said there's going to be you have to finish bang on time. Just a little bit off topic, but I do want to say, because someone mentioned it earlier.
We can go 5 minutes over. It's fine. We can go 5 minutes.
All right. Because someone in the chat earlier said, Stel, you said you spoke to Simon Davies last year, and he said that the best youngsters are coming through in the younger ages, like the under 14s. And he asked, is that true? And I said, yeah, it is. Those 14s now are 15, 16. The under 21s at the moment is full of very, very young players. Right? One of them is Lucas Barnett. I said to Lubo last year, if you think Mikey Moore's good, Lucas Barnett, he's better. I'm telling you. Tonight, he was top draw. He tore Bristol Rovers under 21s apart, and it looked easy. I honestly think he's a player that the club should integrate into the squad and start training with the first team. And if we get a cup game against the lower team, he should just be given a crack. He's honestly really talented, this kid. Mm-hmm. I think Mikey Moore's good. Lucas Barnett is better. Much better. And tonight, playing in the under 21s at 16. Decent, man. So I just wanted to mention that because maybe we've got a gem in the club that we can nurture and could be a star for us under Frank. You know, Frank's the right coach. If anyone can develop a youngster, it's Frank. So just thought I'd throw that in there. I know obviously that doesn't solve our problems for the next couple of months, but it's some little positive shine on things before the
Listen,
meltdown.
I hope that from what I saw of him, the clips last year, and then from the small cameo we saw against Wickham, just watching him for 5 minutes, watching his feet, you can see he's a footballer. You know what? When you watch a player's feet and you go, yeah, you can play.
He's very good. He's very good.
I just hope, I hope he's good, because I'll be honest. Sorry, I know people are going to hate this. Whenever I've watched Mikey Moore, I've been really underwhelmed. I'm sorry. I know he's 18. Sorry. I know everyone talks about him being this generational kid. I've not seen it. Hopefully he breaks into the Rangers team and does something brilliant. But with Williams Barnett, I can just see it in his feet immediately.
Mikey Moore will have a career in professional football at a very good standard. Whether it's Tottenham or not, I don't know. But he will be a professional football player at a good standard. I don't doubt that. Whether it's at Tottenham, different story. Barnett, though, we've really got to push him on. Honestly, he's. I don't want to say he's the real deal because he's 16, but you know what? He's so good, man. He's really good.
What happened to Tyrese Hall, by the way? Did he go on loan?
Yeah, he's on loan. He's at Notts County, isn't he?
What's that? League Two?
Are they League Two or League One these days?
Do you know, I don't even understand League One, League Two anymore. It used to be Division 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just it's Championship, Premier League.
Notts County is 16th in League Two, so the bottom league before.
So he's going to make it, he's 2 years away, then, isn't he? 2-3 years away.
Yeah. Phillips and Donnelly both started tonight for Stoke as they were beaten 3-0 in the cup. Just saying.
Against
Hashtag
who?
just
Who they play
saying.
against?
Hang on. It was Stoke 0, Bradford City 3 at Stoke.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's a Donnelly and Phillips both started. Both got
Look,
very
I
low
don't think we can judge players based on a team score.
No,
We've
I'm
got
not. I'm just saying both of them haven't been getting in the Stoke team this year is the problem. And they came in tonight. My point more around that still is, you know, we've got these players that are struggling to get game time at these clubs that aren't very good. For me, I think if you are going to be knocking on the door of a Tottenham Hotspur squad, you should be going into those clubs and being the main man.
See, my issue is if we're going to loan players and they're not getting played, then they're not developing. And likewise, the clubs that are loaning them, right? The clubs that are loaning them, why are you loaning them then if you're not going to play them? What are those clubs doing? We're wasting our development time. The clubs that are taking the players are wasting their loan money. Where's the win? It's like a lose-lose situation. I just don't understand. I don't get it and this happens a lot. This happens quite a lot with our players. And then they come back and we're like, oh, they haven't really shone. Well, they never played. What was the point?
Alfie Devine got an assist tonight for Preston. So
Sava, he's a good player. He's a good player. He always was. Again, he's another one not being given the minutes. Again, he will have a career in football. Whether it's at Spurs, I don't know. But he's a good player.
Well, listen, look, let me do some super chats and then we'll round off the show. And I'm going to send you all over to I know I like to monopolise, but I'm going to send 1,300 people over to Spurs Kings TV, over to Marlon and Ash. Big up to J.B. Macaulay. Big up to you out there in Australia. I can't believe how many Australians watch me. I thought I was universally hated by all of Australia because of my angepostecoglou stance. ITKs know nothing. All of them peddling rumours on behalf of agents. Romano is the tip of a crap iceberg. Nice show, boys. I tell you what, I'd love Romano's job for how much money he's making. I'm not going to lie. You could say what you want about me. That boy is pointing money in. Big up, JB. Really appreciate that, my man. Big up to, I thought I said Dane Bowers for a minute there. I was like, hello, Dane. That would be on another level, wouldn't it, if Dane Bowers is in the chat? But good joke, Sava. Getting no credit from anywhere. Dan Bowers has said Savinho plus Eze equals a Sterling loan plus Rabiot leaving. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Raheem Sterling at 6 p.m. on Monday? Guys, just can you imagine?
Do you know what? I would give up my season ticket for the season. I'd put it on the exchange. I couldn't.
Oh, leave it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Would you rather we sign nobody or would you rather we sign Sterling on loan for a year?
No, if you're doing that, you might as well give the minutes to Odegaard or Tell. If you're doing that, right?
So nobody then. I agree.
Oh, nobody. Ridiculous. Big up to my man Ethan. Thank you very much. Always very generous to me indeed. I said, are we underplaying Frank's potential involvement in a DOF? Not in alignment with Lang, and if we are maintaining improved talent identification, then having Fabio is beneficial in getting deals done. Listen, I think that's a really good point, not just because you've paid to say it. I think it's a really good point. It's got to be somebody that Thomas Frank can sit down with, have a conversation with, and that the players being brought back to Thomas Frank are what he's asking for. I'm not saying every single player is going to be on the money, but from Frank's comments, it didn't sound like Lang was doing that. Teething problems, maybe, I don't know. But you're absolutely right, Ethan. Thank you very much, mate. You are spot on with that comment. Big up to you, my man. Thank you for the generosity. And last but not least, a user said this window has been gold-plated garbage. Yeah, right now, I said this last night. It got a few looks. Right now, for me, this is one of our worst windows ever. When I add it all together. I know we've got the two good players we like, but the fact that no one's being sold, we're not making money, we're not buying creativity, we're not buying goals, we're not filling out the squad, we've got Champions League. So I completely agree with you, a user.
It's the worst window ever.
No, I'm saying in relativity, in the fact that we're going into the Champions League after scraping through by hook or crook, the fact that we have let the squad get down to this small number, the fact that we've not replaced the 2 playmakers that we know are out for most of the season, the fact that we knew Sonny was going and have not replaced him on that left-hand side.
Did we know Sonny was going?
Oh, I'm sure they would have known Sonny was going. Even if they didn't know he was going, he's been gone for 4 weeks now, isn't he? Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
I asked the question earlier. I know you got to go, so I asked the question on my thing. What do you give the window out of 10 thus far? As in, like, you know, subject to change. And the numbers came in were wild. There was lots of 2s. There was lots of 4s. There was lots of 6s. There was people saying 7, 7.5. I think some people value signing Christian Romero. Some people value the Jed Spence deal. Some people think that, you know, yes, you might have lost 2 and you've signed 2, but that's not a net zero. Like, Paulinho is the biggest hole filler that we've not filled for 5 years, and that Kudus is far better. It's like the value of Maddison is massively superseded by the value that Paulinho presents, and the value of Kudus massively supersedes the value that.
See, I completely disagree because the problem is those 2 players you mentioned don't give you the GA that those 2 players that have gone do, and you've got to weigh this out. I agree with you in terms of what Paulinho offers and what Kudus, their skill sets, but you've still got to replace that creativity and the GA. In
the first 2 games, we've got 4 GA out of Richarlison.
Sure, but
and 2 from Kudus.
History tells you that these are patchy players. Until I see a Richarlison do it for 6 to 12 months, I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon. I need to see it. But look, for me, if I'm being honest, I think it's a 4/5. If I'm going to be honest, a 4/5 because we've made next to no money, and we haven't. For me, the biggest issue was filling out the squad. That was the biggest issue. It was not just replacing people, but are we actually going to build for a European campaign? And we have failed spectacularly at that so far. So that's me. I'm not even angry about it. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Stel, Sean, thanks very much, guys, for coming on. Really appreciate that. Everyone, please, if you haven't subscribed to Sean, that way. Sean, please do. If you haven't subscribed to Stel, which will be that way, which is the opposite, please subscribe to them. If you haven't subscribed to me, please do. We're nearly at 22,500, so please smash that button. As I said earlier, if you would like replica shirts, please go to my sponsors that are okjersey.com. Type in Sava in the coupon area and you will get 8% off, and it's roughly about £15. They're really good replica shirts. I'll be wearing a few of them when my delivery arrives. Any club that you like, knock yourself out. And thank you to my sponsors for that one. I'm sending you over to Spurs Kings TV, please. I don't know who's on there. Let's have a look. Ash, Eugene, and a few other people I don't know. When you get over there, please type in Sava Raid. Please like, please subscribe to them as well. They work bloody hard. And as always, come on, you Spurs.